We've had weeks of this now where people have obeyed the rules, they've done the right thing, they've looked out for themselves, they've looked out for each other, they've looked out for our NHS. Just because it's a sunny day, don't throw all that away. Don't allow a secondary infection. Don't break the rules. You know what they are. Stay 2 metres away, and if you're in a busy place and you can't stay 2 metres away, like in Portobello today, get yourself out of that place.
Now, BBC Scotland has spoken to a worker who attended a conference in an Edinburgh hotel that was the scene of Scotland's initial coronavirus cases. She was never told of the outbreak and became unwell herself shortly afterwards. Opposition politicians now want future outbreaks of coronavirus to be publicised. The First Minister today defended the approach taken. Here's our political reporter David Wallace-Lockhart.
We now know it was Scotland's first COVID outbreak, a Nike conference at an Edinburgh hotel. Ministers insist they traced those at risk. But Fiona, not her real name, was at the hotel for another conference that shared some facilities. She was never contacted and shortly felt unwell. She later spoke to her MP, Ian Murray.
10 to 14 days later, everyone in the house was ill. I felt run down, but I'd had a particularly busy spell at work. My husband, who isn't ill very often, felt a little bit of something in his throat and he was short of breath when he was walking.
Had you known, though, that there'd been an outbreak of coronavirus at that hotel, would you have thought that potentially you might have contracted it?
Yes, and I would have done things very differently. I care for elderly parents on both sides of our family who we visit regularly. I would have taken measures to isolate. I attended further training over 2 days in the next week. It was about 100 to 200 people in attendance. I was standing talking to many people on that day, so yeah, close contact.
Is there any fear on your part that you might have spread it?
I do acknowledge that I might feel guilty. All it required was some information to go from the hotel to our employer and that information to be shared with us so that we could take preventative action. I don't understand why it wasn't.
First question.
MSPs at Holyrood scathing about the government's handling of the outbreak.
And this comes to the heart of the matter of the First Minister in the abstract accepting that mistakes can be made, but never in the specific. This was a mistake.
But the First Minister is adamant. Health professionals took the action they deemed appropriate.
Contact tracing did happen. They would have traced the contacts that they thought were appropriate to trace. Remember, there is a definition of a contact that will not include everybody that a confirmed case would have come into contact with for a fleeting period of time.
Nicola Sturgeon says that in future coronavirus outbreaks could be publicised so that people can judge for themselves whether they're at risk. There are some that say that should have happened with the Nike conference, but she maintains the response was the right one for that time. David Wallace-Lockhart, reporting Scotland.